pass the mic to Steve, I got my next questions for you. Steve, I want to know, what is the role of business in public policy? You're the CEO, is that right, of Credit Human? So it used to be San Antonio Credit Union, you're a community bank, nonprofit bank? Credit Union, I take that back. And showing a little bit of my ignorance there. But so what is the role of large organizations in public policy? And you know, you're going the extra mile in reducing your carbon footprint, right? And that's great. But we have a few business members in our community that have very loud voices. They're very concerned about how their business model is going to be affected. And so they engage in public policy in a big way. But then we have some people who, you know, Toyota, let's take Toyota for instance, right? Toyota, they're doing great things. You know, I believe they said that they're going to meet the Paris Climate Agreement goals within their own organization, that they're going to be net carbon neutral by 2050. They just announced not too long ago that they're going to, for every single model of vehicle that they make, they're going to have an electric or hybrid option by 2025. They're doing things within their own footprint. But when we asked them, hey, can you weigh in on this climate plan here at the city? They've got a plant here. And they said, no, we don't comment on public policy. But if we have a few voices that are weighing in a big way against it, what is the role of other organizations who care about these issues and being able to weigh in?
Well, let me go back to a point that Bill made earlier, is that if we're talking about public policy as it relates to our current climate change and how we're going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, this is affecting everybody. It's not just affecting companies. It really isn't fundamentally. It's a human issue, and corporations are nothing more than organized work for some desired output. And the role of organizations is to get work done through a conventional set of rules that have been set for them, and inside that, it's to influence the rules that helps them, to achieve that in whatever way they do it. I would just say, first of all, we're not at the point of public policy yet in this whole climate change action. We're still dominantly shaping the belief. And what I'm suggesting is that once a dominant belief can take hold as a fundamental social value, it's fundamentally in the social value system, then every other legitimate organization falls in line. And so in the middle right now, we have a lot of folks that are not going to be on board because they don't see it's the dominant social value system of society just yet. And to the role that they're playing to try to resist that, it's a natural response to a set of groups that are fearful of what they perceive they can lose from the outcome of this. The problem is that most people that are in senior level positions in America today, they have a very short view. For example, when we built our building, we had a 50-year view on this building. And most of these technologies are going to pay for themselves in about 13 to 14 years. But most business people are rewarded under their conventional systems for under 5 years. And so imagine building buildings with a 50-year life cycle, but with a 5-year point of view. It's hypocrisy at its best. And so we have systems where a lot of really smart people are really acting in undesirable ways. And so you have to recognize that they're in a system that's not healthy for their best rational thinking. Second, it's not their fault. That's just where they are. It's where their shareholders have got them, and it's where the pressures of those jobs are on them. And so if they're showing up, you have to begin to question, what is your point of view of the world and how long you're thinking about that? And that point of view is narrow, then the public policy perspective you're going to get from that is quite short. Remember, the annual budget cycle is a 1-year horizon. The annual planning cycle for most corporations is under 3 to 4 years. In most assets that they build, the managers will not be around long enough to see what happens to those assets long term. So they're not in a position to actually hold the capacity of the long-term view. Secondly, if you get underneath their fear, they actually have a view of the world that the world is static and it's going to stay the way it is. And that's a flawed assumption in their paradigm. And so a lot of that is helping them to see the flawed assumptions. Most businesses, for example, believe that their costs are going to go up or down based upon this. Well, their costs are going to go up and down for a variety of factors. This is not the only one. I mean, all you need to do is look at the 3% unemployment rate. What do you think is happening to their cost system? It has nothing to do with climate change. It has everything to do with the labor shortage and skill shortage and all the things that happen in our education systems. So a lot of this is you have to help businesses see their horizons are too short for the type of policy they're trying to affect. Now, if the city is trying to impact policy and its horizons are different than the folks that you're trying to include at the table, you're going to have an inherent natural conflict. It's just a natural response. And elected officials get in the same trap sometimes. You know, I can remember we had 2-year term limits back then, and you're going to get a 2-year perspective on that. And so all I'm really trying to say is you've got people that are in a fearful position. They're fearful of what they're going to lose. They don't understand it. They have a perspective of it. It's actually a wrong perspective because they don't know how it's going to actually play out. And if you're beginning from that position from a public policy conversation, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just not going to get anywhere. And so my encouragement is we still got to continue to install the values, help people to understand where they are, what their real interests and their concerns are, and make that voice heard for them. Carve out a place for them. Don't basically indict them, but you got to create a place for them to speak. And then you find examples like what we've done in others, because they look, well, what if you did this instead, and show the possibilities. The one thing I'll just say, and I'm getting a little long-winded, is I love the number of people I've talked to that says you can't do what you did. Well, my typical question is, have you ever tried? And you know how many people I've run into have actually built a building like ours? None. So all the people that told me we couldn't do it, they never built one themselves, and in fact, they never tried. So we have to start with the perspective is we're not trying to indict them, but you have to help them. Where did you get the point of view you can't do it? Where did that point? That started from somewhere, and it got momentum under it. And the problem is that narrative, when it gets going, it's unproductive.
Thank you for setting an example. Steve, thank you for setting an example that it can be done.